In this module, we will discuss about another critical issue regarding the privacy and misuse of personal data. Privacy refers to the ability to keep personal information confidential and prevent its use without consent. It grants individuals the right to choose which information about themselves can be accessed by others and to control how, when, and to what extent it is used. The European Data Protection Supervisor, EDPS, emphasizes that privacy is closely linked to respect for human dignity and the protection of personal data. The use of big data technologies can significantly impact privacy and human dignity in various ways, including group privacy, high-tech profiling, data discrimination, and automated decision-making. As the volume of data collected and stored in big data solutions increases exponentially, many countries are recognizing the need for privacy laws to address the changes in technology and data collection. In response, organizations and research institutes are developing guidelines, principles, and frameworks to preserve privacy. Privacy by design is a holistic approach to an organization's operations, encompassing its IT, business practices, processes, physical design, and networked infrastructure. It is also known as technological measures that ensure privacy. Different strategies are used to implement privacy by design, which are discussed in the following subsections. The main strategies for handling personal data effectively include minimizing the processing of personal data to only what is necessary, concealing personal data and their interrelationships from plain view, and processing personal data in separate compartments whenever possible. Additionally, it is important to process personal data at the highest level of aggregation with the least possible detail while still maintaining its usefulness. Ensuring transparency and informing data subjects about the processing of their personal data is crucial. Allowing data subjects to have control over their personal data, including the ability to view, update, and delete it, is also essential. Implementing and enforcing a privacy policy with appropriate technical protection mechanisms and governance structures is necessary. Finally, enabling data controllers to demonstrate compliance with privacy policies and legal requirements is a key strategy. Data protection by design involves a combination of technological and organizational elements that integrate privacy and data protection principles through the timely implementation of technical and organizational measures, including the use of specific privacy-enhancing technologies, PETs. This concept is legally mandated by Article 25 of the GDPR, which has been enforceable since the General Data Protection Regulation came into effect in the EU on May 25, 2018. Consequently, data protection by design and by default is now a legally enforceable obligation. According to a report from the European Data Protection Supervisor, EDPS, Article 25 of the GDPR requires controllers to take appropriate technical and organizational measures to integrate data protection safeguards during both the design phase and the operation of processing activities. Personal data should only be processed if necessary for a specific purpose, and approved certification mechanisms may be used to demonstrate compliance. Article 25 complements Article 24, which mandates a risk-based approach to identify and implement measures to protect personal data. Additionally, Article 32 requires the establishment of an IT security risk management framework to mitigate risks. The same report outlines 4 key dimensions of the obligation of data protection by design. These include designing processing projects with safeguards in mind, selecting and implementing measures to protect individuals and their data, ensuring these measures are appropriate and effective in upholding data protection principles, and integrating safeguards directly into processing activities to protect individuals and their data. All 4 dimensions are equally important and form an integral part of accountability, subject to supervision by the competent data protection supervisory authorities where appropriate. Organizations must adhere to the data protection by default principle as defined by the GDPR, which emphasizes the importance of taking technical measures to meet the expectations of individuals whose data are processed. This principle requires that only necessary personal data be processed and that such data should not be processed for other purposes by default. Additionally, organizations must prevent personal data from being made public by default. The data protection by default provision extends the principles of data minimization and storage limitation. Article 25, 2, specifies that only necessary personal data must be processed by default, and organizations must implement measures to prevent personal data from being made public by default. When processing personal data, by default refers to the preset choices regarding configuration values or processing options within a system, such as software applications, services, or devices. These settings influence the amount of data collected, the extent of processing, the storage period, and accessibility. Controllers are responsible for selecting and implementing default processing settings that ensure only necessary processing for lawful purposes is carried out. This involves assessing the necessity of processing based on Article 6(1) legal grounds, ensuring no excess data collection, processing, or storage beyond what is required. Controllers must predetermine specified, legitimate purposes for data collection and processing, as outlined in Article 5(1), B, C, D, and E of the GDPR, and ensure appropriate measures are in place by default to process only the necessary data for each specific purpose. Additionally, risk assessments should be conducted for third-party or off-the-shelf software to ensure that functions without a legal basis or compatibility with intended processing purposes are disabled. Organizational measures should be designed to process only the minimum amount of personal data necessary for specific operations, taking into account the different roles and access needs of staff.